Hey everybody, we are live. We are just going, we're a few minutes behind here, so I apologize, but I'm really excited to have everybody here. I'm really um, actually quite honored to have so many folks joining us today for this is a really important topic. I think a lot of schools are feeling that now that we're, we've kicked off the new year, and there's still some spots remaining to be filled. The question is, how do we go about making sure that we're filling up capacity. I'm going to get this webinar started in a moment, and I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. So first, before I start, there's a chat box on the right side. So please go ahead and just go into the chat box and tell me, just give me a yes, I can hear you, so that I know I'm good to get going, because sometimes we run into some technical difficulties, and it's always a little frustrating when I go on for sometimes 10 minutes or 15 minutes without anyone telling me that they can't hear me. Okay, great. So I'm getting some affirmatives. That's great. Also, I'd love to hear where everybody is from. So we've got Thomas DeCarly joining us. I know where he's from, calling us from Eureka. So who else is with us? Who else do we have here? Leanne Watson. Leanne can't hear anything. Well, if Leanne can't hear anything, then she's not hearing me say this. But sounds like other people can. Well, a lot of folks here. We've got Zala from San Diego. We've got Aaron from Santa Barbara. We've got Farah from Tampa. Tina from Denver. All over the map. Kate's in Austin. Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl can hear me. Cheryl's in Bellevue, Washington. Okay, so I think we're good then. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. And so the topic of today is how to use Facebook ads to increase enrollment. And there's going to be some other subtopics, but in a way, another sort of title I thought about for this is how to set up marketing automation for Montessori schools, because unfortunately, marketing automation is it's really like marketing lingo, marketing sort of industry jargon. Not a lot of folks understand what marketing automation means. I think people have a good idea what marketing is, and they have an idea of what automation is, but those two together, so what does that mean? So really, we're going to actually break down some of the components of marketing automation, but really specifically how they're used in the setting of a Montessori school, and even more specifically for enrollment marketing. And if you can take a look at this picture, this should be somewhat. This probably resonates with you from all the folks I've worked with at schools. This is kind of an image that comes to mind when they talk about how things are being managed. So I just want to say, you'll know you're in the right place if you wish that relying on word of mouth marketing referrals was enough, but you really know that it's not. And more on that topic, a lot of schools I talk to, they tell me it used to be enough. They used to have no problem filling up their school. But nothing has really changed in the way they're doing their marketing or their understanding of marketing. And for some reason, having the same great program that they've always had is not, unfortunately, doing the job itself of filling up the school with the right parents. The right children, that have the right parents that really appreciate what your school does. You're also in the right place if you want to fill your school to capacity and also have a waiting list that remains at a minimum length. As anybody that has a waiting list or has had a waiting list would know, they don't stay the same. People, they move on, they shrink, they go to another school. So you have to continually be working on filling up not just the existing positions, enrollment positions you have, but also making sure you should be definitely maintaining a minimum size waiting list for every single program that you have. And you're also in the right place if you would like to spend more of your time, on those higher value tasks, like being face to face with children and with parents, because I'm pretty certain. Feel free to tell me if I'm off on this one, but people don't open up a Montessori school to become a marketing expert. They do it because they love what they do. They love educating, and that's where it comes from. You generally speaking, at what all the school Montessori directors and owners that I talk to usually are trained as teachers, and that's where they came from. They don't have MBAs with a marketing focus. They don't have decades of marketing experience, and so it's that's not what it was about. It wasn't about becoming an expert in marketing automation. It was about continuing to do what you love to do. So I also want to just strongly encourage you to stick with me for the full 60 minutes of this presentation. The last 10 or 15 minutes will be questions, but I'm gonna review a variety of solutions to a lot of common challenges of enrollment marketing. And I'm also going to be telling you about a very exciting new program that we're launching here at Hubbli. And so stick with me to the end. I promise I'm not going to be pitching you anything through this. This is about education. At the end, though, I'm going to tell you about something that that you might want to check out. So, I always ask people, no matter what the topic is, to share what you do in this area, right? So we're talking about enrollment marketing. What strategies do you currently use to grow your enrollment at your school? So use that chat box on the right side. I'm going to pause the presentation for a moment, and I'm going to let everybody, go ahead and tell us what they do. So take a second. Oh, here we go. Zala says she used Facebook, Yelp, Google, My Neighborhood app. Okay, very interesting. You got word of mouth and website. Okay. Sarah is saying community education events. We just hosted Dr. Stephen Hughes. Very cool. Aaron Brodsky, word of mouth, Facebook ads, local classified listings, events listings, email blast, website. Deborah Shaw says preschool fairs, print ads, Google AdWords, and Facebook ads. Jessica says Facebook, Twitter, word of mouth, website, open houses. Xavier says Google ads. Thomas says he's used open houses, referrals, word of mouth, flyers. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of common things here. By the way, this is what I expected to see. And I just want to say, when people say website, when they say Facebook, when they say word of mouth, those are all tools, right? And it comes down to, if you're building a house, and if I asked you guys, what do you use to build a house, you'd say hammer, a saw, some screws, some nails. Those are all tools. And the question is, like, do you, without being overly blunt, the question is, do you know how to build a house? Do you know how to use those tools? Because Facebook and website, as an example, those two, Google ads, these are things that can be used 1,000 different ways, and they actually need to be used differently for every different situation. So if you like the same school or the same company, and these are just kind of universal, standards. Like if you're marketing something and you want to use Facebook, depending on the product or the service you want to market and the market that you're going after, you're going to use Facebook in a very different way. And if you use it the wrong way, it's incredibly easy on Facebook. And by the way, I'm a big believer in using Facebook. I'm going to talk about how to use Facebook ads, how to use Facebook for enrollment marketing. But it is incredibly easy to spend a lot of money on Facebook and get zero results. The same thing goes for really any marketing channel. Thankfully, using Facebook and being incredibly efficient with your dollars is actually also really easy. And that's the good thing. You just have to know how to sort of swing the hammers, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm also going to say that everything I'm hearing here, they're all good ideas. I think they're all, Google ads, Twitter, word of mouth, website, open houses, preschool fairs, print ads. These are all good ideas. The other question I want you to keep in the back of your mind is, are you using it in a way that you're able to track the performance? And the most important performance metric for enrollment marketing that you could ever know is how much you're spending per inquiry, how much it costs you to generate an inquiry for your school. That is probably the only thing that really matters as far as tracking. If anybody here has had experience with getting into, using these digital systems, you'll hear terms like hits or clicks or click-through rate or all these. There's like endless lists of metrics. Now, they're all important metrics. They're all crucial at different times and places and in different ways. But if you are doing an enrollment marketing campaign, there are some other important metrics to know of, but they all feed into the most important one, which is what I call the cost per inquiry. How much do you spend per inquiry? Now, let's get into why being incredibly efficient with your marketing dollars and using the best strategies is important. If we take a look at what's going on in the market today, the private school sector is growing. Right? So from 2011 to 2016, that market size grew. And what's also been happening is that in the US, the private school enrollment rates are dropping. So the question is like, how does that make any sense? So the overall market size is growing. Private school sector is growing. But private school enrollment rates on a per school basis is shrinking. And what does that mean? That means that there's more competition. That means this is the reason why it's not enough to rely on word of mouth marketing. And I actually want to say, I enjoy talking about that phrase, word of mouth marketing, because word of mouth marketing is actually not a marketing strategy. It's not actually, you could say it's marketing. There's an argument for that, but it's not a marketing strategy. Word of mouth is meaning, what does that mean? It means you're a great program and your parents just naturally and organically talk about how great your school is, and that brings other parents in. That's definitely happening at your school. The question is that sufficient today to fill up your school? And more schools are finding that it's not. And the reason why it is not is because of these trends, because there are more and more schools popping up all over the place. Most schools I talk to, let's say it's a Montessori school, they've been going for 20 years, maybe 30 years even. And they used to not have to even think about marketing. They used to not even have to, they were turning people away. They could be really selective with getting the right families in. Whereas today, they're actually accepting families they're not even sure they should accept, but they're just accepting them because they need the revenue from their enrollment to make sure they can pay their staff. And then they're actually creating other problems for themselves because they're bringing on families that maybe aren't the best fit for their school. And these are the families that, it's one in 100 that can cause real problems and leave after 1 year and take a bunch of families with them and disrupt the whole school and the whole culture in the middle. And you don't want to have to be forced with your back up against the wall to take those families in. And that's what these schools, this is a story that I hear all the time. Feel free to let me know if that resonates with you. But it's very common. When I talk to schools every day, and this is a very common issue. And there's a solution for this problem. So I just want you to know that doesn't have, if that's has ever happened to you, that doesn't have to happen to you anymore. And it's all about taking control over the inflow of inquiries into your school. It's actually really easy to do this. So the way you do this, and maybe the most important, and for me, the most challenging thing for me to communicate to schools is that your enrollment marketing system, which is just the concept of an enrollment marketing system, is like this new thing, but you should have an enrollment marketing system, and it should literally drive itself. It should act like a self-driving car, where the only thing you have to do is just turn on the tap. And by turning on the tap, what I mean is, you go into, as an example, you go into Facebook and you say, okay, we're going to spend $100 today on Facebook ads, and out of the other end of the engine pops out inquiries. It's like a little, enrollment generating factory, but it should be completely automated. So what we're looking at here is what we call a funnel. So this is an example of a enrollment marketing system that's completely automated, that is, and I just want to be very clear, this does not get built overnight, for sure not, but this is what every single school should have. This is a system where at the very top, you've got two laneways here, right? On the left side is a parent, and on the right side is like the school administration. At the very top, you've got, if you take a look, you've got search and Facebook, right? So what we call, these are the traffic sources, right? So that's the very, very top of the funnel. And you have to understand how to use, Google and Facebook to bring in the traffic, and also the right traffic. And that comes from, there's a system and there's a process for understanding how to design your ads, how to write the copy in your ads the right way, etc. We at Hubbli are very, very, we take a very strong stance. There are many ways to spend your marketing dollars, but I truly believe, and we all know that a Montessori school's marketing dollars are limited. So because of that, we think that Montessori schools should really be focusing on the two most efficient ways to use your marketing dollars. And for many, many reasons, which I can get into here and, talk about at length with anybody whenever you want, Facebook ads and organic Google search, not Google ads. I actually don't think you should be spending money on Google ads. I have a very strong opinion about that. I can explain that further, but Facebook ads are incredibly more efficient in the scenario of enrollment marketing. This isn't a universal truism, but when it comes to enrollment marketing, Facebook ads blow away Google ads, hands down. But organic search should be something that you're working towards. So those are where the people come from, the ones that you don't know, the ones that are out there looking, interested in finding a school for their children. And then that brings people to an inquiry process, which is, should be a digital inquiry form found on a web page. And then once they fill out that form, so that at that stage, after they click on an ad or find you in Google, they come to what's called a landing page, and that's where the inquiry form is. Landing page is a whole other webinar in and of itself, how to make a landing page. Essentially, it's just a web page, but it has very specific elements to it, and there are rules to building a landing page. So you build that landing page, they fill out that inquiry form, and then the rest of the process, which what we're looking at here is just one example. This is an example of an enrollment process we've built for one of our Hubbli customers in their Hubbli system. So I'll just show you this example, but this, we set these up, this would be custom. Every school has slight difference in process and needs. So I would say 90% of every school's enrollment process has all the same components, but the order by which they go or the different requirements depending on the programming and etc. changes. So let's just take a look at this one. Someone clicks on a Facebook ad, then they come to a landing page and they fill out an inquiry form. That sends a message, let's say, to the administration. It creates a record, and then at that point that parent should start getting a series of automated emails that go out over a time span. And this could be a time span, this could continue on for months until they get to the next stage in the inquiry process, which would be driving them to book a tour on a self-tour booking feature app, a feature that actually allows the parents to select a time for a tour, meaning you don't have to get on the phone, you don't have to manually remind them. You don't have to go in and schedule it and write it down on paper and in 3 other places. The system should allow the parent to book a time and then automatically remind them, and then they come in. And at different times, of course, the administration has to perform a task. So the system also should remind the staff when they have to do something at the right time. Or as an example, let's say a parent comes in for a tour and they haven't yet filled out the application form for some reason. So the system should remind you, hey, it's important to follow up with. So first of all, the system should follow up with that parent. So remind them, you haven't filled out this application form yet. It's been a week or something. It should also let you know, as the admissions director, as an example, hey, this parent did a tour. They haven't come in yet. Or sorry, they haven't filled out the application form yet. Follow up with them, that type of thing. So a system like this, basically, automates 99% of the entire enrollment process and allows you to free up your time from the hundreds of steps, in which it just comes down to like busy work, like sending a reminder, writing something over there, or and a system like this will also keep track for you. It'll let you know where every parent is at what stage of the process, so nobody ever falls through the cracks. That's what marketing automation is, and this is what marketing automation is for for a Montessori school. So if you really want to improve and simplify your enrollment marketing workload, you're going to want to set up something like this to handle all of those repetitive, regular sort of basic things. And this is why a digital marketing system is always better than a printed marketing system, because you can actually track every step of the way, how every step is doing, where is everybody. And so when you run a Facebook campaign, you can actually test up to like 50 different ads, and you can see, let's say 50 different ads at a time, and you can see which variation actually sends more people to that landing page. And you can also test to see how many people are coming from Google rather than Facebook. And maybe there's more people coming from Google that are, filling out the inquiry form and coming in for a tour. This is just information that you can use to see which parts of your system are doing better. So the very first step that you want to take to actually figure out what to say to your parents in your ads, your prospective parents, is you want to actually survey. What you want to do. So this is my action tip for you. Most Montessori schools today want to increase their enrollment numbers, but it's not just that. You want to increase the number of inquiries that come from families that are the best fit for your school, right? Rather than parents that are just looking for a place to to stick their kids. As I've already talked about, the parents that are most in line with the Montessori values or the Montessori method are the most likely to stay with you for the full scope of your program, year after year. And the best way to feel confident in in directing those families that aren't the best fit is to make sure that you have enough inquiries coming in, so that you can say, hey, maybe this might be a better option for you guys. Maybe our school isn't going to give you what you need. So if you want to make sure that your ads are drawing the right parents, then you need to make sure that you are speaking to them very directly. And your first step should be to identify the parents that are currently enrolled, the ones that you would like to basically clone, and then survey them so you can understand how they what value they see in your school. And not only that, what language do they use to communicate that value? You want to use that language. You want to learn how they word it. What phrases do they use? And then that's what you want to put in the ads. When you take the language that they use, not the Montessori jargon, which is very important for them to learn at some point, but when you want to actually build ads to bring in prospective families, you want to put this language, these value propositions, in the language of your prospective ideal prospective parents on the ads and in the web pages and etc. And the truth is, you should really update all of your marketing materials with this information. I just want to take a quick break and see if anybody has any questions, because while I do the presentation, I can't actually see who's in here and asking any questions. So I don't see any questions right now. I'll check back in a few minutes, but I just also want to let you know at the end, I'll take the last 10 or 15 minutes and just field questions. So feel free to just hold on to them as well. One of the best things about digital advertising tools is how much actionable information they give you about the campaigns. Unlike using print ads that can't track anything, tools like Facebook tell you exactly how much value you are getting from every dollar you spend. But the problem is that knowing how to use the tracking tools and understanding what specific marketing metrics are important to track takes quite a lot of time and experience. So when I talk to school leaders that are trying out Facebook ads, I always ask them, how much are you spending per inquiry? How much does it cost you? Like, they can tell me how much they've spent in general on advertising, usually. Sometimes they know how much they've spent on Facebook specifically. But to date, nobody I've ever asked can tell me how much they're spending per inquiry. They never know. I often hear, we got this many clicks, but the problem with tracking clicks is that it's not the result you're looking for. It's the step to getting an inquiry. So tracking clicks is helpful information. It does give you some information that's useful, but it's not the most important metric. Whereas inquiries is the success metric for your campaign. And knowing how much they cost you informs you for the future. If you know that it costs you $10 on average to generate an inquiry, then you can actually do some budgeting. As a rule of thumb, you should always have 4 times the amount of inquiries in comparison to how many spots you need to fill. So to just do some basic math, that means that if you have 10 spots to fill, you know that it costs $10 per inquiry because you've got things set up properly and you're tracking things properly. Then, if that's the case, then you need to budget $100 to achieve those 10 inquiries. And so you know how to fill it up. So that's what you want. So 10 spots to fill. So you should have, $10 per inquiry. So you need to budget 4 times the amount of that to get the inquiries that you need. And your website is, when it's set up properly, this is a very important component. of any Facebook campaign, because it doesn't just all happen in Facebook. So when set up properly, your school's website should be actually getting found not just by the people coming from Facebook, but also by prospective families. And it should be increasing the number of inquiries of families that are an ideal fit for your school, and then driving them into your enrollment process. So another way to think about a school's website, it's like a advertising billboard. And I often give this analogy when helping people understand, what we do at Hubbli with hosting schools' websites, and when we help them with search engine optimization, and what that can do for them. So this is one of the core features that we actually offer, and it's just something that of course, most schools already have a website. I don't know if I've ever met a school that doesn't have a website. So everyone knows they need a website. But what I find is that most schools are not using their websites strategically. Certainly not the best way in regards to enrollment marketing. One thing that is key about how your website should be designed is that the purpose of the website is not to sell your school. Its purpose is to get the right families to inquire about the school and to enter into your enrollment process. This is such an important distinction, because you should not be trying to sell someone on the Montessori method on your website. I see this far too often. That's really what the rest of your enrollment process is for. When they come to an open house, when they do a tour, etc. But the point at which they find your school online is when it's all about getting them to that open house, getting them to the next step in your enrollment process. And it might be about getting them to realize they're not the right family for your school. But there's ways of using your website to do that, but unfortunately, this does take some really strategic planning, and it's not about, really isn't about, the logo design and the color scheme and how nice the pictures are. That's not really what it's about. What it's about is, what is the content saying? What point? What goal do you have for that person? What learning goal or action goal do you have for that person when they come to your website? When they find you through Facebook, when they find you through a Google search, that it might even be important to have 2 different landing pages for each of those different traffic sources. And this is an example of what your paperwork should really be. What we're looking at here is a digital form. The paperwork that goes on in schools today is, I find it remarkable, the amount of paperwork. It's completely unnecessary. It's so time consuming. It's so wasteful, and nobody really likes it. Nobody likes paperwork. It's seen as like a necessary necessary thing, but unfortunately, it's actually, fortunately, it's not necessary anymore. But unfortunately, many schools have not yet harnessed an understanding of how to use digital forms. You should really think about how to do that. This is something that's baked into, any marketing automation platform. Has some type of digital form component. Hubbli is certainly one of them. Your entire enrollment process should be digital, and by doing so, by having it digital, you're talking about tens of hours a month being freed up from people's working hours to do things that are way more enjoyable, like talking face to face with parents, or being in the classroom, etc. The amount of time that gets lost on managing paper, managing information that comes in by paper it's just astounding. So this is just an example, like with an enrollment process at Hubbli, a parent can come in no matter what stage they're at and fill out the necessary form at that point, and be informed as to what they have left to complete. So those types of processes, it not only saves you time, but parents actually prefer it quite a lot as well. They like I can say we have schools that have joined Hubbli simply because they did a survey at their school, and there was an overwhelming response from their parents that they wanted the school to move to digital forms because of the overwhelming amount of time-consuming and frustrating paperwork that nobody really likes. And then as well, that enrollment process should really incorporate an automated scheduling service. This is what Hubbli's look like. Hubbli's service looks like, where parents can select a date and book a tour. And the process, as I showed you before, should drive parents to this stage at the right time, and then have features to send automated reminders, etc., so that this is another thing that really can be quite time consuming for the admin, just schedule management and follow-ups. And when a system is reminding everybody when to show up, you find that people show up more. Or when it gives them the option to cancel with one click, they don't forget to email you or call you to cancel. They click it, and then you're notified, and your schedule frees up, etc. So there's so many efficiencies that can be built in with a good marketing automation system like Hubbli, so that you're not spending your really valuable and limited time doing really just kind of the busy work of the hundreds of steps in between, which are generally quite hard to organize efficiently if you're not an organization project management guru. There's so many things going on. You're running a school. There's fires to put out all the time. Kids are getting hurt. People are getting sick, and buses, field trips are breaking down, and there's so many fires at any point in time. That's how all these prospective parents often fall through the cracks, and they don't end up showing up for the tour, and you lose track of them because you're being pulled in 1,000 directions. You want a system that almost acts like a personal assistant, and make sure that you never lose track of something. And that's one of the most important and crucial efficiencies that people running a school need to have. And you should also make sure that whatever system you have gives you at least simple reports, like basics, like how many people are at what stage at your process. Are they at the inquiry form? Are they at the application form, etc.? And you should be able to dig in and see who's at what stage. So this is just an example of what Hubbli gives you. Super important. I just want to take a second here and just hear what you guys think. If there's any questions right now. So Thomas is asking, how easy is it to set up, track, and manually input inquiries from other sources? Yeah, that's a really good question. It's quite easy as long as it's set up the right way. So it's as easy as just going to a form and entering that person in, and typing a few words and click with a click, and everything's tracked. And so also the system will actually automatically track where those folks are coming from, if they're coming from Google or from Twitter or from wherever they're coming from. That information, which is so great about a digital system, is that's always tracked, because websites and everything can track the what's called the source of the traffic. So, this came from Facebook. This came from Facebook Mobile. This came from Twitter. This came from a Google search. What were the search terms that this person came from? The system can even tell you what search terms that person typed in when they came to your school, which is incredibly crucial information, because then when you see a trend, people are using these words when they search and come into the enrollment funnel, you can then say, okay, these are the keywords that we need to focus on. So Aaron's asking two questions here. If using parent language in advertising, how does that work in how does that work if conflicts with the marketing image you are using for the organization? I have yet to run into a scenario where the language that the parents are using conflicts with the marketing image you're using for the organization. And I would say, Aaron, that if your marketing image conflicts with the language that the parents are using, your marketing image is what needs to change. Because without parents understanding the value that you offer, meaning if your marketing imagery is not communicating, if your sorry, I hear that I lost audio. Let me know if you can hear me. But can anybody hear me right now? Because I just got a report that we lost audio. So I just want to make sure that I'm being heard. So testing. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, I'm back. Okay, great. So if your marketing imagery conflicts with the language that you learn that your parents are using to describe the value of your school, then you need to change your marketing imagery. It's that simple. Marketing is okay. So there's this concept, as we all know, in Montessori, like the concept of follow the child, right? You need to take that approach with your marketing with your parents. It really is the same thing, because follow the child is about when it boils down to it, it's about communication, right? And marketing is communication. And if you want people to understand the value you're trying to communicate, you need to make sure you're speaking their language. If you were to go to another country and try to talk to somebody in your country's native language, it's kind of a fool's errand, right? So it's the same thing. So if you find there's a conflict, now if we're talking about a conflict of values, then perhaps you're taking on the wrong parents. But I don't think that's possible. If you've identified the parents that are the best fit for your school, if they are the ones that you identify as the best fit for your school, the most ideal parents, and how they communicate the value of your school conflicts with the imagery of your marketing, then you got to change the imagery of your marketing. That's what I would say. Aaron's asking, can you also automate invoicing? Yes, Aaron, you can absolutely automate invoicing using the Hubbli system. Yeah, so we have an invoicing tool, and it all can be automated for sure. So, okay, great. Everyone can hear me. So that's the rest of the comments here. So I'm just going to continue a little bit with these are great questions. So I'll just continue with this. So we're coming up to the last 15 minutes. So, I'm not exactly sure why everyone showed up here today, but I can probably guess a few things. So you probably want to be able to keep your school enrolled, full to capacity with a waiting list that's always staying at a consistent size. And you probably want to, have enough inquiries coming in month after month so that you're not afraid to turn parents away that aren't the right fit for your school. And you want to be able to free up your time from the hundreds of boring, repetitive, remedial activities like sorting through sheets of paper or reminding people to show up to a meeting, and these, so that you could have more time for the enjoyable tasks, like being in the classroom or being face-to-face with these new families that are the right fit for your school. And you know that you're capable of doing more, and you just need to get some of these roadblocks out of your way. And you probably want to give your prospective parents a communication experience that is engaging and informative and makes them look forward to enrolling their child in your school. So, you've shown up here today, you've made it a priority, you've taken notes, and maybe you're even excited about learning how this all works and making some of these changes so you can free up your time and have a full school with an automated marketing system and more time in your day. So I want you to know that, a real, marketing automation system can change your school. It can absolutely change your life, but you've got to know exactly what to do at your school, specifically, because all schools are a little different, right? So what's the skill of your staff, and, what skills do they have in-house? What are the communication expectations of the parents in your area? What tools do you already know? Everyone's got some strength, some experience, and can those be used more effectively, or do you need to switch to other tools? So that's where we come in, right? So you've got two options. Like, option one is you can take the information that I've given here today, which is pretty high level. There's only so much we can get into in 45 minutes, or you're all obviously passionate, smart, capable people, but I'm pretty sure like everyone else in your shoes, you're really busy and you don't have the time to figure out all of this. So the obvious question is how. How can you quickly and easily create these systems for your school? So that's where we come in. We are launching this new pilot program to a select number of schools. But before I start telling you about this, I want to get your permission. So do I have your permission to take a few minutes, tell you about how this enrollment marketing service works? So I'll just pause for a second. Before I go on, I just want to make sure, I want to hear everybody. I want to get some just a confirmation that there are people here that want to basically hear about this pilot program, this done-for-you enrollment marketing system, before I move on and start pitching. I don't want to be pitching to a brick wall. So just go into the chat box on the right side. Let me know if anyone's interested in hearing about this enrollment marketing program. Yes, please, Kate Austin. Okay, well, for you, Kate, I will begin. So the Hubbli done for you, oops, skipped over here. The Hubbli done for you enrollment marketing service is the most efficient way for you to grow your enrollment and reduce admissions workload. There's a bonus here at the end. I talked about at the beginning of the webinar. If you sign up, before the end of the webinar, then you'll get a free download. So if you, so you're going to see how to sign up for an information session about the enrollment service, and if you do that today, you'll get a free download of this ebook that we've written about mastering parent engagement. And the website to sign up to learn more about this program is it's at hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing. And we actually, we have a limited amount of spots available. We've only got 3 spots left right now. We've had, we can only handle 10 schools at a time for this pilot program. And we've actually had more than 10 sign up, and a couple of schools have finished it, and one school canceled. So we currently have 3 spots available. So it's the type of thing where, schools are kind of signing up for it all the time, and we have limited capacity for, when we can actually accept schools into it. So right now we've got 3 spots, and that's really the system. I'm going to show you a little bit more about it, but in the meantime, are there any questions about how this system works? So you just have to go to learn more about it. Actually, the best thing to do would be to go to hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing. I'll just bring this up on the screen here, so it's a little more clear. There we go. So if you go to hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing, you'll actually get more information about this program where we basically manage all the different steps that I've talked about today, and then so that's regarding. So we manage your Facebook ads. We we completely, we do all of your search engine research. We set up your web pages. We build a completely automated enrollment marketing service. You get reports. You know exactly how much you're spending per inquiry. And this is essentially what people just kept on asking us for. So we decided to create this program. So Deborah Shaw is asking, what does it cost, and is it the same as workflows? So Deborah is a customer of Hubbli, and this is a new thing that we're offering. So Deborah, the cost, it all depends, because this is a pilot program. We're not, we're trying to be as flexible as possible, and trying to be as we're trying to create a scenario. So we don't just list a price for this. This is something that we determine after speaking with a school and understanding what their needs are, because a marketing system and how much you spend on a marketing system should relate directly to what your goals are. So you should only have to do enough to reach your goals, and we want to make sure that it's priced accordingly to your needs. So what does it cost is a good question. And I couldn't determine that until we actually do a deep dive. So we need to talk for about a half an hour, ask a number of questions, and make sure we understand. So Aaron's asking, are you looking specifically for schools, or would the pilot work for an after-school organization? Aaron, absolutely, it would work for an after-school organization. Listen, if you are a school organization, if you're an organization that works like a school, whether, the bottom line is it enrollment marketing? Sounds like it is, and the answer to that would be yes. What is the recommended or average spend for Facebook? Good question, Deborah. You're asking, what is the recommend? So the recommendation is that what we're seeing from our customers that we're working with on this is a cost per inquiry that's ranging from $5 up to about $20. So it's always going to be different for everybody depending on a number of factors, but you will be able to find and that's something that should continually decrease, by the way. So a good marketing system. So I'll just give you an example. So at Hubbli, we use Facebook ads to generate, inquiries about our software. So we create Facebook ads, and when we started doing it a couple of years ago, it cost us about $45 per demo signup. And so they click on a Facebook ad, they go to our website, which is a landing page that has a form to fill out, a request for a demo, and then the rest of the sales process ensues. So we're actually spending about $45 per demo sign up, right? And then we were actually spending around $1,000 to actually per new customer. So $45 cost per demo, $1,000 cost per customer. And after 2 years of working on that system, and actually it really just took about 12 months to do this, we've got the cost per demo down to under $13. And the cost per new customer is down to under $500. So we were able to, this only works if you build an automated system that, where everything works the same way, and then you can test different components against. So let's say you've got a version of ads, and then you start testing the ads against each other, and you can see which ones perform better. And by performing better, we mean hitting the goal, generating more results that are the goal for less expense. So with a school, as an example, we've run marketing campaigns, and we've seen initially, like, it was the first campaign that you run is always the most expensive, because you're going to run a whole bunch, right? You're going to run a whole bunch of ads. Some aren't going to work, and some are. So your overall cost per inquiry is going to be higher. And then your next campaign, you're going to get rid of the ads that don't work. You're going to keep the ads that do work, and you're going to end up with a much better cost per inquiry. because you're sticking with the ones that work. And that's what it all comes down to. When we start, we run about 50 ads at the beginning. So Aaron's asking, to clarify, I mean through the website. Yes, Aaron, absolutely. It covers it covers a system, through the website. It doesn't just create the funnel. It really handles the entire system. All the different components that you need are all there. So that's really what a marketing automation system needs to be. We've set it up specifically for a school and an enrollment scenario. So it covers the service, and the system covers the entire funnel, from top to bottom. Yes, Kyle, you're asking a great question. Yes, we design the ads. We create video ads for you, and we make many variations of the videos and multiple variations of the headlines and the ad text and the call to actions and all the different components of the ads. We do all the copywriting. We do all the design. We do it all. Is all done by us. And the only thing we do is enrollment marketing campaigns. So it's not like we're some general marketing agency that has to learn how does this work. If you go to a general marketing agency, you're going to spend a lot of money, and then you're going to basically be paying for them to learn your market and what your market needs. Whereas we already kind of know all that stuff, and we're continually running enrollment marketing ads for many schools, and it's the only thing we do. We're super laser focused on marketing enrollment campaigns. So Aaron, that's a great question. So we use a combination. We are happy to incorporate your own photos and videos that you may have produced, and test them against ours. And what we always find generally, by the way, is that ours have always outperformed the content that we get from the schools, but we are certainly happy to use it. And of course, it doesn't really matter whose videos or images. The most important thing is that the images and the videos and the animation inside of the ads is all right for, it's all 100% relevant to what people are coming to see. So do the videos portray the right scenario, the right values, the right imagery? That's what's important. And what's most important is, do they generate the most outcome that you're looking for? And they, if you've got some videos and images that you want to test against ours, we will absolutely put them into the mix and test them. And if they win, then they win. And that's what we continue with. Hasn't happened yet, actually, but there's no reason why it wouldn't. So we will happy to use a combination. Cal's asking, what are the best images to use in ads? And I would say not images. The best images, the best things to use in ads are videos. So what we're finding, so there's no one thing, but what I would say, what we see is that, images of children, more focused on the children rather than the actual activity that they're doing. But we find that the showing, you want to always in marketing show, you want to match your imagery with the imagery that your parents have in their head, your prospective customers, which are your parents, prospective parents. You want to understand what imagery do they have in their head when they think about a school for their child, and you want to present that in the ad. So first and foremost, you learn that by talking to the parents, surveying the parents. We do this for you. We have a process for this, and so if it's if you're marketing a certain kind of program, like a choral program, like Aaron's talking about, you want to make sure that that you're presenting something that fits perfectly, resonates perfectly with what's already in the in the imagery of the parents. So you want to start from your prospective customers, what's in their head, and then understand that and present that to them in the ads. Aaron, we have imagery for everything. There's an endless supply of great footage and imagery out there. There's there's an endless resource to for us to work with. Thomas, so Thomas is asking, so we provide our survey details to you and you create our ads using the language. Actually, Thomas, we have the whole system set up. So we actually have the surveys all set up. It's all set up in your Hubbli system for you when you sign up for this program. And you just, all you have to do is, let us run the thing, and we will, we've got the surveys in the system already. We know what questions we want to ask the parents and how to ask those questions. It's a very specific type of survey that we use, and we learn what we need to learn from those surveys. What type of videos do you make? Well, videos that are optimized for Facebook ads. I guess that's the best way I could put it. Kyle's asking what type of videos we make, and it's they're what we use is videos of real people. That is far and away the most engaging videos across Facebook advertising, performance studies. You want to use real people. You want to use video. These are the things that far and away produce the best engagement on Facebook ads. All right, guys, I need to wrap up today. I really appreciate all the questions. I would love to connect with each and every one of you. Please do find me. So number one, you can reach me at directly. I'll just leave my where can I get to my text here? Here's my email address. Jono@hubbli.com is my email address. And please also come to learn more about the enrollment marketing program and sign up for a consultation. It's free at hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing. So that's the link, hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing. All we do is enrollment marketing. We are the best in the world at it. I'm very comfortable saying that. Because this is all we do, and there's not many folks doing this. Certainly not the way we're doing it. And we will, if you want to create an automated marketing system that works like a self-driving car, so you can just, whenever you need to, you just turn on the tap and get inquiries of the ideal families without having to spend time figuring out how to do it or managing a paper process that's really time consuming. This is what it's all about. Getting back to the basics of being an educator, engaging with the families, with the children and the parents, and let us run your marketing for you, because we'll do a way better job than you ever could, and you will end up, because we can do that, and you can do a way better job than we could ever do of educating children. So everyone's got to focus on their specialty. So if you let us focus on our specialty for you, you'll be able to focus on your specialty for the children that you lead and that you teach. And that's how we can work in partnership and make the world a better place. So again, find us at hubbli.com/done-for-you-marketing, or email me directly at jono@hubbli.com. I really appreciate everyone's time today. It's an honor to have your time, and I hope we get to work with you down the road. All the best, guys.